Good afternoon, on what is a warm, bright and sunny day. It is a Sunday, the 11th of August, and I'm in the reading up a nice cup of tea and a box to unbox. In fact, it's a starter set, the Shadowscar starter set, published by Talsorian Games. Decades ago, a war between gods spilled out across many worlds of the Mosaic. Terrible monsters called yokai found their way into the countless dimensions, preying on unsuspecting natives from the shadows. To counteract this monstrous threat, the Shadowscar Agency was created. This organization of secret agents trained in the ancient arts of ninjutsu scour the multiverse to find the yokai and put a stop to their vile plans. In The Mask of the Green Demon, you take the role of one of these agencies who struggle to uncover the identity of an enigmatic kingpin known only as the Green Demon. This goal is to take you across the Mosaic as you unravel mysteries, discover clues, and face terrible threats. The Shadowscar starter set is the perfect introduction to the many worlds of a Mosaic and includes one booklet full of lore on the worlds and factions of Shadowscar, one booklet with all the essential rules needed to play right out of the box, one booklet containing the 52-page Mask of the Green Demon adventure, 6 customizable characters, a set of Shadowscar-themed dice, maps, and tokens to help you bring the world of Shadowscar to life. So there you can actually see sort of like the Green Demon there, basically a mask shattered across the Mosaic. So let's find out what is inside. This is a box set which I was kindly given by Talsorian whilst I was at Gen Con 2024. And open up, what we have is a Welcome to Shadowscar leaflet plus a set of Shadowscar dice. These are 6-sided dice. And then you have this Welcome to Shadowscar setting. What to expect, learn the ways of ninjutsu, assassinate deadly foes, foil complicated plans, work with powerful factions, explore the Mosaic, hunt down rogue agents and so on. Where do you go from there? What's the next step after completing the box? But worry about that in a bit. You've got full list of items, essentially a glossary on the back. And then we have put that down there, the World Lore book. This will give you complete, sort of not necessarily the complete background, but sort of like enough background to play this setting. And as you can see, it's a fairly action-orientated, magical setting. You are playing essentially ninjutsu. And this does echo to a certain extent the introduction to the Shadowscar setting from the scenario released for Free RPG Day 2024. I've already done an unboxing of that, already done a review of that. And you will find essentially the link down below will have a link to that adventure. That's the starting point you want for this adventure. Basically, you want to play through that and then get into this starter set. So, nice artwork as we get into the world lore. An overview of the Mosaic there. And some of the locations in the Mosaic. And these are all different in terms of flavour and feel. They're kind of different. What they represent really is different genres. So the Steel Court is a steampunk setting. We've got basically a combination of prohibition and magic. Refuge is a science fiction setting set around in a series of space stations around the moon. And then we've got details of the Shadowscar Agency itself and history of ninjutsu, essentially the skills that the player characters will be employing to defeat the enemy, the yokai. Each player character will belong to a different clan, and these are detailed here. And these provide sort of different outlooks and on how to deal with the yokai. So add a little bit of tension and difference between the player characters beyond their core abilities. And then we've got a couple of details on sort of the enemy factions, including the Hollow Eye Syndicate and the yokai themselves. So that's your lore book. The next book is, just trying to get hold of this, you've got the system book. Again, you've got cast and crew, table of contents, and nice image depicting people actually sat at the table playing, at home. And then how to play a role playing game, introduce you to that, how to read the character sheet for Shadowscar, all interspersed with these fantastic sort of action pieces, artwork, basic core rules. Then we're into commerce and what to buy, because hey, players and their characters like to go shopping. There's a little bit of, the commerce section kind of feels a little bit odd, out of place there, I would say. But we're on to actual proper actions you can do in the game. So social interactions, infiltration, and of course, combat. And if you're getting into combat, you may suffer damage and conditions. You've got a list of those here. And interesting, sort of like, you do have indications of some of the movements you're going to take, whilst you could take, as player characters when you are, carrying out acts of ninjutsu. And of course, the players could actually, emulate that if they want to with the hand movements. I mean, so basically the hand seals rather than actually attempting proper ninjutsu. Don't recommend that. Even if you go and train under a ninjutsu master, I don't recommend you do that. Anyway, hazards you might encounter during play and their effects. How to maintain the veil, because one of the things is that people on mosaics generally do not know about other mosaics, other worlds on the mosaic. So, and also they don't know about the yokai as monsters. So you have this need to protect people from the true nature of the mosaic. So there's both an element of defeating the yokai and then cleaning up after them. And then there's possible wearing kamen masks to gain certain benefits. And then we have wounds and death and healing and so on. And it notes that sort of like the other thing that the player characters will have are a series of mystical invisible tattoos which will enable them to communicate and record and even understand other languages, which will help them play. Essentially gets around that whole idea of, oh, on a different world I can't understand what you're saying and you can't understand what I'm saying. No, you can. You have these mystical tattoos. And the rift diving is the skill of transporting yourself and your fellow agents of the Shadowscar agency from one world on the Mosaic to the next. Rogue's Gallery introduces essentially bad guys. So you've got a guide on how to read the Rogue's Gallery. You've already had one on how to read a character sheet. So you've got different monsters and NPCs. Some of these did appear in the previous scenario, but that's no bad thing, because you may not have access to that. You've got some classic Japanese folklore monsters in here, like the Kappa. Encountered more than one of those whilst playing Legend of the Five Rings, including the Kami. So different monsters and threats and foes, all illustrated in sort of like an anime-esque style. So that's the rogue. That's the system book. Then we have the different characters. So you've got illustration and a complete history on the front, and then you have game stats and an explanation of the equipment she's carrying and abilities and so on the other side. So this is essentially the play area. You basically have that open in front of you. You'll have read that. And then you've got options there on how to improve the character over the course of playing through the Green Demon, Master of the Green Demon mini campaign. So that's the next character. And these are all a mixture of different backgrounds and character skills. Quite a diverse range. And there are 6 of those. And then below that, let's see what we've got next. Place that like that. You've got some maps. There we go. These are double-sided. I suspect these have been done by Nook Battle Maps, who really do produce great books of maps here in the UK. And I will have done some unboxing of their books, and I'll do that. I'll do again, hopefully with some more. But there you've got a different set of maps, and you also have. I'm just going to show you before we get to the final book. You've got some tokens to use on those maps. These are not double-sided. There we go. So you basically got, you can use those maps to give a physical presence to your play. You can see it in action. For the referee, you've got a reference sheet, basically a quick guide to the rules and so on, without referring necessarily to the rule book in here. An armory dealing with various items and so on, including artifacts the player characters might get hold of. And of course, you have Mask of the Green Demon, the scenario. And I like both things. Each of these books is quite a solid thing. It's not this is each has a card cover, and nice glossy pages. In some cases, in some of these starter sets, you get sort of like doesn't have lighter pages and doesn't have a cover. So you've got like a very light magazine style feel, and they don't feel particularly sturdy. And in this case, our Talsorian has done a good job here, and they are sturdy. So again, current contents, and got a guide to storytelling, including basically almost a demonstration of it in action. There we go, a guide and tips. Most of that won't be really necessary if you're experienced role playing it, but I mean, if you're new to it, this is a good introduction to being a storyteller, essentially the game master. And then we've got a guide to running the scenario before we delve into the details of the Mask of the Green Demon itself. And here, essentially, we've got the player characters being given their first mission, or essentially, it might be their second mission if they played the scenario available for free RPG Day. And there you see the map replicated earlier, which you can just pull out, put on the table, and start having the battle. And then we're on to chapter 2. And again, we've got this next location. So essentially, you've got one location per chapter, and they're relatively short chapters. You play through these in a sort of like a session or so. So not much to see on every single page, doesn't matter, but there are some nice illustrations. You've got the maps there for the reference for the Game Master. Before we actually enter the spider's web. And a final encounter with the Green Demon and bring the campaign to an end, at least for now. There we go. Just buffering back. Excuse me. So that is everything in the Shadowscar box. It's quite a heavy box, so you are getting your money's worth in terms of content, a good introduction to the game, setting and system, I think, plus a nice set of dice and some tokens. So that is Shadowscar, the starter set, published by Talsorian Games. If you enjoyed this unboxing, Nook, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings of the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a box, typically like that, or in this case, a starter set, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do click on the subscribe button down below, in which case I will essentially talk about it to the best extent of my ability. In the meantime, thanks for watching another unboxing of the Nook. I'll be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.